Some estimates say that a quarter of non fatal injuries happen to our hands and wrists. This only increases the need for quality PPE. Chris, what do you think about when it comes to protecting our hands?
Well, when you think about everyday use, when you wake up in the morning, when you go to work, when you come home from work, everything you do in life, whether it's on the job, off the job, you're using your hands, you're using your fingers, your thumbs, the sense of touch, right? The ability to grip something. And so that's one of the main things that we think about from a safety standpoint is injuring your hands can cause life altering effects for a long period of time. And that can range from a number of different injury types. In the industrial sector, we see a lot. Probably the most common injury type would be laceration, followed by abrasion. And those two are by far the most common types of injuries that we see within industrial sector.
Well, that makes perfect sense. And I think that in a way that ties into precision work itself. MCR offers all sorts of gloves. So, what should we be looking for when it comes to protecting hands during precision work?
Yeah, specifically for, when you're getting into a precision work, you're needing dexterity, you're needing sense of touch. And a lot of times, when you run across an application that requires that, which is quite often now, the number one thing that most users want to do is they want to take their gloves off because they want that sense of touch, they want that dexterity to be able to grip. Well, with through glove technology over the last really 10 to 15 years, you've seen a really high level increase of glove technology going from your old school 7 gauge knit fibers now to up to 18 to 21 gauge fibers that are hitting the market. And gauge of fiber is very similar to electrical wire. The higher you go in gauge, the finer the denier of the yarn, hence the better dexterity that's on your hand. And so what we're trying to do for the industrial worker is to create gloves that are like second skin on the hands. So they want to wear the glove and they want to keep it on for long periods of time so it can do its job, so it can protect against abrasion or any type of laceration in precision applications. So
That makes perfect sense. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, are there any things that I do in the shop that I don't want to have dexterity for? And I can't come up with anything. So that makes perfect sense. I think this is in the same vein here, but what tasks are people forgetting to have the correct protection for? Are there some examples that you can share?
Well, so I can answer that really two ways. There are applications where you need to be careful, you need to be mindful when you're talking about cut protection or abrasion protection fibers, and those applications are any type of equipment that you're working around that is moving or rotating. So think about a common tool such as a circular saw. PPE in most cases is intended to be a second line of defense. And especially when you're getting into any type of rotating tool, bit, saw blade, the number one guard is always going to be a machine guard. And so from that type of application, you typically want to have machine guarding be your primary source of defense and PPE secondary. Now, a lot of times lacerations, they don't necessarily start from an actual cut. They start from an abrasion on the glove, where maybe it's starting from an abrasion point of wearing the glove down, or it's starting from a puncture. Because when you think about a knife blade or a piece of stainless steel or a piece of aluminum, the cause for some type of injury may come from a laceration, but a lot of times what we see is it happening from a puncture, and that puncturing the glove and then cutting the palm of the glove, causing your hand to become injured. So and that's where a lot of times we think that we only see cut protection, or we're only going to get hurt from any type of laceration if something's sharp. Well, you also need to think about there's a lot of materials that you don't traditionally categorize as sharp materials. Corrugated, one of the a very, very popular material that we see in distribution, we see in packaging facilities. Corrugated can cut your hand very easily, just as a piece of metal can. And so a lot of times we look at a box and we're like, that's made out of paper. Well, the edges of that box are extremely sharp. and can cause injuries too. So that's probably the number one application where we see hand injuries occur, because you're not thinking sharp, you're thinking paper, you're thinking box versus metal.
Chris, this was absolutely fantastic, but I've taken more than enough of your time. Thanks for talking.
I appreciate it. Thank you.